Well, hello. Damn it. Something just flew into my eye. Hello, welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today it is a Sunday Stuff and Things, and on this Sunday Stuff and Things, we have stuff and things to talk about, including upcoming videos, things you can look forward to on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon. We are going to delve into the subject, and it's hard to do this without sounding too opinionated, but what gets likes on Instagram, in my opinion, doesn't always coincide, and I'm talking about in terms of photography, because I do photography a lot, doesn't always coincide with what I consider good photography, and I just want to delve into that a little bit, because I think it's easy, if you are someone who takes pictures and you post on Instagram, it's easy to fall into the trap of chasing likes on Instagram. And I just want to talk about how maybe that's not the best indication of whether or not what you're doing is good. We'll get into that. We'll do hashtag askstuffandthings, including an email from someone who wrote a rude comment and then decided to apologize by writing an email afterwards, which is almost unheard of, kind of crazy. And then, of course, we will end the show as usual with your Patreon shoutouts and updates. It's actually not super, super windy here. It's kind of windy. It's not particularly hot, not particularly cold, just kind of a nice, pleasant, I think maybe like 65 degrees here right now, which is fantastic. Intermittent sunshine, loving it. We have not gotten the horrible, crazy heat wave like the rest of the country. It's approached 80, or gotten to 80. It's supposed to get maybe into the mid 80s next week, which is very, very hot for us and almost intolerable for us. But compared to a lot of other people in other parts of the country, not bad. Even in Europe, too, I think I've heard people are having a bad heat wave. But the Pacific Northwest remains, don't tell anybody, a beautiful climate oasis where everything is almost always nice and pleasant, except it rains a hell of a lot. So you probably don't want to come here because it rains all the time. Anyway, let's get into it. All right, what can you look forward to on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon? Well, this week, exclusive to Patreon, will be the I'm Not Going to Like This Cult Conspiracy video. Cult Conspiracy is an aromatic blend, and I did a review of Cult Blood Red Moon a while back, and I didn't mind that blend. It's also aromatic. It was kind of a cherry flavor. Cult Conspiracy has honey and vanilla, and it is way more aromatic-y than I was expecting. So stay tuned for that video. That'll be posting Monday on Patreon. The week after that on YouTube and on Patreon, early ad-free on Patreon. YouTube on Wednesday will be the Fender JMJ road-worn Mustang bass, new strings and setup. So I did a video where I put a new wiring harness in that bass, the Mustang bass, and then in this video, strings and setup, adjusting the truss rod, doing intonation, string heights, all that good stuff. That'll be the last for bass stuff for a while. I just wanted to get that out there. And then the week after that, exclusive to Patreon, will be the Hearth and Home WhiteKnight Last Bowl of a Classic. I found a jar of Hearth and Home's WhiteKnight in my cupboard, and this is just the last little remaining dregs of this blend, but I did the last bowl of this, and delicious stuff, fantastic stuff. Supposed to be a recreation of the 70s white label Balkan Sobrani. Never had the original 70s white label Balkan Sobrani, but WhiteKnight is fantastic, and that tin had 10 years of age on it, so good stuff. We have a lot more other stuff coming up. I just got, oh boy, I got a pair of shoes I picked up from my P.O. box today. There was this whole snafu where they couldn't find them. They were coming from the UK, and I got a delivery notification from DHL. DHL? DHS? DHL. And I went in there, and they're like, we don't have them. There was no notice in my P.O. box, no key for me to unlock to get my package. And about 20 minutes of them thinking like, it's just not here. And then finally, luckily, they found them. But I took a little peek at these shoes. I'm not going to reveal what they are yet, but Lord above, they are nice. I laughed involuntarily when I first picked them up and started feeling them. I was like, of course, sort of an evil chortle when I saw these shoes, because they were so, so nice. Better than I deserve, kind of pearls before swine, but be sure to check those out. They'll be on this. It'll be a few weeks because I want to try them out really well. I have a couple rolls of film that I've developed recently, including a roll of color that I want to take a look at. talking about my Leica M4, so all sorts of good stuff coming up on YouTube and on Patreon. Stay tuned. But now, gang, I want to talk about some stuff. And I want to couch this in terms that do not sound judgmental, because God knows, I'm not a famous photographer. Uh-oh, here we go. The sun is coming out. I've developed sort of a body of work, I guess you could say, recently, and things that I'm working on. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Where are my recent pictures here? Recent. What is going on? Recently saved. Screenshots, videos, there we go. But I definitely have opinions about photography, and I definitely notice that I try to keep a very consistent schedule when I'm posting on Instagram. I post Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday morning, and I'm still probably like 7 months back in terms of what I'm posting. It's pictures that I took about 7 or 8 months ago, because I have a whole huge backlog of hundreds and hundreds of photos. I'm not always posting the most amazing pictures on Instagram. If you look at my website, that's probably my best work, or it's definitely my best work. But on Instagram, just to be consistent, I post things that I find interesting that I wouldn't necessarily put in a portfolio or something like that. And I know a lot of people are like that. And so I'm not going to judge what people post on Instagram and just say, oh, this photographer's not good, this one is good. But I've noticed that because of the tiny form factor of Instagram, you've got this little tiny square, that's a circle, but imagine that's a square or a rectangle, this little tiny thing that you're looking at on a smartphone screen. And it seems that because of that format, people are editing, or not editing, they are altering their pictures to be the most eye-catching, I guess, for a small format. And if you think about those pictures extrapolated to a larger size, like where they might be in a gallery or something, I don't think it would work really well. So what a lot of people seem to do is do really high contrast. So if you're talking about color, they'll do really high contrast, and then often they'll either do that or they'll do really low contrast. They'll up the saturation a lot of the time, so the colors are just kind of lurid and kind of brighter than they would be in real life. With black and white, they tend to do really high contrast. They do a lot of silhouettes, things that are kind of more geometric, which can be good. Like, all of this stuff can be good in certain contexts, but it seems like there's a certain style of photography that proliferates on Instagram. And it's something that I don't... When I look at my pictures and the ones that I pick out that I enjoy when I'm going through and editing the shots that I take, most of them being film, especially recently, I'm not always going for something that's super high contrast. I don't go for a super high contrast look. I kind of like a real nice full tonal range in the picture. I'm looking at them full screen when I'm going through them. And that's where the detail really comes through. And I like getting all these different tones and shades of gray and everything. And what I realize is that that's not necessarily a good thing to be posting on Instagram. And there's this Instagram look that people tend to do with black and white photos. And I'm going to start putting some things up on the screen here. This first image is a black and white film picture that I took. This is Kodak Tri-X, and you may have seen this picture already. I think I showed it on one video maybe at some point. But it's kind of this little tableau of people downtown, and you will see that it's not super high contrast. Even though I'm shooting Tri-X, everyone seems to think that Tri-X is like really contrasty and really grainy. It's not really. Part of that depends on how you're exposing it and also how you're developing it. And I try to go for not super high contrast and super high grain. And you can see in this image, there's a nice range of tones. It's not overly contrasty. I'm not blowing out any of the highlights, and you can do that, but this is kind of what I like. This is the look I like in an image. Now, there is, in Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom, a photo software suite that a lot of people use. There are two sliders that you can use in Lightroom, and they are called texture and clarity. And I'm going to show you a little B-roll of that in a minute, but this is now the same image where I have put those two sliders all the way to the right. And you can see now that even though I didn't really up the contrast on this picture, the grain seems way more pronounced. It seems way more contrasty. There is this kind of unreal quality to the picture now. And this is exactly what I see on Instagram all the time. And I know exactly what it is. It's the texture and the clarity slider. And people do it, I think, because it makes the image seem to pop more. It's like, oh, it's a little more eye-catching. Here's another one. This is the original image. This is a digital photo that I did in black and white. And this is just my normal process. This is how I would have the image look. And then again, if I up the texture and the clarity, bam, that is the Instagram version of this picture. Now, I didn't post an Instagram version of this picture on Instagram. If I post this picture, it's going to be just the normal original image. But if you were chasing that Instagram look, this is what it would look like. The texture and the clarity sliders up almost all the way to the right. And I really don't like that look at all. Now, again, this is subjective. Some people may like it. Some people may prefer it to the original that I showed you. But I do think it really is that these kinds of pictures have proliferated on Instagram because of the format of Instagram. And instead of thinking about how this image would look blown up on a wall, people are thinking of how it looks on a tiny little screen. Which is fine if that's what you want to do, if you want more people to give you likes on Instagram, or if you want to get more followers on Instagram. And I certainly wouldn't mind more likes and followers on Instagram. You should follow my Instagram at Bradley A. Victor if you haven't yet. But that's not the main point for me. My main point is just to take pictures that I like, and then I do share them on Instagram because that's just kind of what you do. It's interesting, I had a picture of me shirtless a while ago. It was like a self-portrait. I was like, oh, this is a pretty good picture. So I put it up, and that had, I think, 4 times the views and 4 or 5 times the likes of any of the pictures near it on my Instagram feed. And it just really reinforced to me, like, okay, this is what's going on Instagram. It's not really about the artistic merits of the photographs. And I mean, that was a good photograph. I looked okay. It's more about things that catch the eye. And it's funny, I mean, that was a shirtless man. Imagine if I had been a shirtless woman and posted that on Instagram. It would have gotten so many more likes. So if you're someone who posts a lot on Instagram and you are wondering why you're not getting likes, don't worry about it, I would say. I think just keep doing what you're doing, find your own style, take the pictures that you want to take, make them look the way you want them to look, instead of trying to cater them for an audience on Instagram who seems to be drawn for things that are just made to be very eye-catching on a tiny, 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 tiny screen. That would be my advice, but you don't need to take my advice because, again, I'm not a professional photographer. I have not had really any professional success in photography. It's just a hobby. It's something I enjoy doing. Anyway, just thought I would get that off my chest. But now, gang, it is time for hashtag #AskStuffandThings, and I don't have the actual printout because I ran out of printer paper, but I have it on my phone. Remember, if you would like to ask me a question and have it answered on the Sunday Stuff and Things, you can tweet at @SATBradley with the hashtag #AskStuffandThings, but we probably shouldn't because nobody does, and I never read Twitter/X anyway. You can hit that super thanks button under this video, go right to the front of the line, or if you are a Patreon supporter, you can write to me via Patreon and go right to the front of the line. My exposure keeps changing horribly because the sun keeps coming out. Or you can leave questions, comments, and feedback in the comment section of my YouTube videos. I want to read something first. This was very interesting to me. Now, where is this? This is on my phone as well. So there's a video I posted a while ago, 2 years ago now, maybe. It was the 1-year update of my Casio G-Shock watch that I wear every single day. And someone left a comment. And in the video, I talk about how I wear it every day. And someone left a comment and was basically like, "You're lying. I can tell you don't wear that watch every day because it was on medium charge. There's a little charge indicator. This is a solar charge watch. It's on high right now because it's summer and I wear it outside in the sun all the time." But he said, if you wore it every day, it would be on high. It's impossible that it would be on medium if you wore it every day. It's nonsense. And it was just kind of like, oh, aggressive. And so I wrote back and was just like, I do wear it every day. In the winter time where I live, it is very overcast, and it's often also covered by clothing in the winter. So that's why it might have been on medium charge. And then I think I ended it with just like, simmer down. And didn't really think much of it, wasn't particularly offended or anything, but I then got an email from the person who wrote that comment. And I just thought it would be good to highlight this. I'm not gonna say the person's name. The subject line was, a rude comment about wearing a watch every day. Hello. I'm the one who wrote that comment saying I didn't believe you wore the watch every day. I have the same watch and I love it a lot, but it's true that not everywhere gets a lot of sun. I'm sorry. Secondly, I didn't believe you could wear the same watch every day because I'm a watch collector and I have about 20 of them myself, so I wear a different one every day. But you do have a channel about something else, and you're only talking about this watch. I think I realize that my recent comments have been rude, maybe because of a little frustration with life. I need to change my attitude. I apologize once again. Best regards, blank. Now look at that. Didn't have to write this. I wasn't particularly offended, but the fact that this person took the time to do that, I think speaks very well of them as a person, and maybe we could all replicate that kind of behavior. Maybe not leave the comment to begin with, but again, not a big deal. But the fact that this person decided to try to rectify what they considered a breach of protocol, quite nice. Now we have some comments, some feedback from last week's Sunday Stuff and Things. I'm sorry, this is going to be constantly changing. I'm going to be constantly fiddling with it. You probably don't care what it looks like, but I do, and I probably am just making it worse. But anyway, all right, we have Storm and Norman says, so we were talking about how I was confused for a homeless person several times in the last few weeks. Storm and Norman says, I get that most people aren't familiar with cameras, but the Leica should be a dead giveaway that you are not homeless. You would think so. At Josh Stivers says, I'm not homeless yet, quoting me, LOL. Must have some fairly well-to-do homeless in your neck of the woods, sir. No, it's kind of crazy. The people who are homeless around here are usually very in bad shape, pretty bad shape. At the New Media of the Dawn says, I'm curious about those Insta black and whites. I'll tune in next week. Well, we just talked about that. Hope you enjoyed it. You don't look homeless, but maybe it's a sign of the times when half the population is anyhow, so people just assume. Haha, realistically, I thought Bellingham was a fairly middle-class area, but who knows these days. Bellingham is super, super high cost of living. It's a very expensive place to live. All of Western Washington is very, very expensive to live in. But there are also, it draws homeless people from all over the country, interestingly. I'm not sure exactly why that is. Maybe it's just because it's like in the far corner and that's kind of as far as you can go. But every homeless person I've spoken to is not from here. They're always from everywhere else in the country. Interesting. At Solar Labyrinth says, sorry about the coffee shop. It was always a bummer when those little pleasures go away. For whatever reason, it's what helps keeps us sane. An update on that. I was complaining that the coffee shop I go to every day after work had cut their hours. They're closed entirely now. It was like a day after they had put the sign up saying, talking about their new hours, they put another sign up saying, this is it, this is our last day. So really sucks. I spoke to the former manager though, and he is trying to get a different space and open another coffee shop. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that. Solar Labyrinth continues, as for the homeless thing, maybe it's different regionally or from city to city, but where I live, I don't usually see many people just out on the street, seemingly with nothing to do or no clear reason to be out there. Those who are out on the street are usually just quickly walking from one place to another. If you do hang around outside a lot in the same area, maybe it's a case where people just assume you're homeless and don't have anywhere else to go. That's probably true. That's the best explanation I can come up with, and I think that's the best explanation I could come up with as well. At Arcturus says, it's actually a good thing. It's the universe rebuffing your curated self, the vintage camera, the specialty jeans, all the props and costumes, and urging you to grow up and be real. Don't listen to the attractive young woman. There was a young woman who had said I looked good, and then after that, a person had said I looked homeless. But to the wiser older woman, the kind of woman who calls you darling in a diner. The homelessness is internal, and she saw it. Time to find an authentic home. She saw the homelessness of my soul. Specialty jeans. I wear Levi's. I wear Levi's premium jeans. I mean, right now I'm wearing Levi's 501 jeans. I don't know. You couldn't get any less specialty than that. They are the premiums, but that's because they cost less than twice the price of the normal Levi's, but they last about 3 or 4 times as long. So you're actually saving money. I don't have a carefully curated image. I just wear the clothes I like. If you want me to grow up and start dressing like a man, I guess that would mean wearing basketball shorts and flip-flops all the time, because that's what I see most men wearing. Anyway, amusing comment. We have at Ledger and Lace who says, the coffee shop is your third place. It's not home, not work. It's a place for you to go to it's a place you go to at your leisure and for community. In the past, for a lot of families, that was church. It could also be a library, bookshop, park, etc. That's very true. And it was just this kind of little, this sense of community, going to the same place every time, seeing the same people, catching up on little things that might be going on. Hopefully I will find another place like that. And then Dr. Reg Monster says, coffee shops in the Pacific Northwest seem to be prejudiced against the afternoon evening coffee drinker. It's irritating. And that is weird. When I was a teenager, because we were teenagers and we couldn't go to bars or places like that, we would often go to coffee shops. And back then, there were the coffee shops that would be open till midnight, you know? And that just isn't a thing anymore. At Michael K says, now Canadians cross the border to buy relatively cheap pipe teas, LOL. And that would not really be the case here because Washington has the highest taxes on pipe stuff that you could possibly imagine. So it may still be cheaper than Canada, but I would go to a different state. And then we have some comments on my JMJ Fender Mustang bass wiring harness video. At Josh Stivers says, actually not a bad sounding bass. I think it sounds fantastic, Josh. Always love the P configuration. Since you do so much photography related content now, have you considered training and testing for your Part 107 to fly drones? You could get some beautiful footage up there. No. Oh, there's a dog. Hey, buddy. Hey, what's your name? Come here. No, you don't want to eat that. Come here. Who are you? What are you looking at? What's going on? Hello. He, she? What's his name? Charlie Brown. Oh, okay, Charlie. No, not at all. Charlie. There's no food in there. There's some gum. Have a good one. No, I haven't really ever considered getting a drone. I don't know that you need a license to fly just a consumer drone around here, but I don't know. Something to think about. And then at Joe Ramia says, I think some flux would have helped the solder stick to the iron. Overall, great job. I don't even play guitar, but watching is enjoyable as always. Thank you, Joe. All right, gang, thanks for all that feedback. Please keep it coming in. It really helps make the show go. All right, my battery is almost dead, so we are going to get to the Patreon shout-outs and updates portion of this show. Every week we like to shout out those who support Stuff and Things at $25 or more a month. If you would like to support Stuff and Things, there's a link in the description box below, and it is much appreciated. It's basically the only way I'm able to keep making all these videos. It's the only way I'm financing the Stuff and Things network, I guess you could say, the YouTube and the Patreon videos. $5 a month gets you in. You get early and ad-free access to all the videos we post on YouTube, but then it also gives you access to all the old pipe stuff that used to be on YouTube that is now being moved over to Patreon. Every week I put a new video from the archives or an old video from the archives, one of the old pipe blend reviews, and then all the new pipe stuff goes to Patreon as well. So check it out if you're interested. But every week, like I said, we shout out those who support at $25 or more a month, the producers of Stuff and Things, people like Jason Buckner, Arcturus, Ashes of the Phoenix, The Friendly Piper, The GreatGrol, Glenn, Just Glenn, David Severin, Nicholas James, Kyle Whitmore, Mr. Gibson, Chris Caughey, Ted Stryker, and GandalfTheGrey. And of course, the Maniacs, the crazy people who support Stuff and Things at $100 a month, people like Bob Magee. And we'll never forget our dearly departed friend and Hall of Fame member, Peter Straub. Gang, what can you look forward to on Patreon this week? Well, on Monday, exclusive to Patreon, will be the I'm Not Going to Like This cult conspiracy. Interesting aromatic. And then on Thursday from the archive, we have Captain Black's Original White. And that review was from July 12th of 2017. So one of those old drugstore blends, a Captain Black. Ugh, interesting, so check that out. Lots more good stuff coming up on YouTube and on Patreon, so stay tuned. But until next time, until we meet again, I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience that's been Stuff and Things on a Sunday Stuff and Things. I'll see you later.